Uh. Yeah. Yeah.
This is Bobby Okereke, inside linebacker for the Indianapolis Colts, and you are tuning into the Blue Stable Podcast.
Another week in Colts Minicamp is upon us, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Blue Stable Podcast. I am Michael Pivia. As always, you already know what it is. Destin Adams is joined by us, and we are also joined by the lead writer of the Blue Stable, Zach Shankerman. Man, welcome to the Blue Stable Podcast. I believe it is your first podcast or your first appearance on the show. What's up, man?
It is. Thank you guys for having me on. Just living the dream, honestly. Just very thankful to be on.
And Destin's here, and we already know about him. So anyways, guys, Destin, introduce yourself, of course, but we could have new viewers to the show, so introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm Destin Adams, here all the time, basically to corral a lot of Michael's thoughts, because you guys knew everything that was going through this dude's mind. You'd hit unsubscribe right away. But we just wanted to throw out that we're missing Shad. I don't remember the last time me and Rashad were on the show together, and I feel like I've said this for a while. But we don't hate each other, guys. I promise. Me and Rashad are very, very good friends. We talk daily. We just, for some reason, can't be on a show together. I don't know what's going on, but we're gonna all three be back together soon.
He's living that Hollywood lifestyle. That's what's going on.
I mean, Zach always, man. Rashad blew up this offseason. You've seen it.
He
everyone
did.
Everyone listening has seen it. He's not too cool for us yet, but he's approaching.
I would agree with that.
I've literally received DMs like in the past, like even this offseason, asking me if Destin and I hate each other. Like it's at
No
the
comment.
most randomest times. It's at the most randomest times. I'm just like, no, we're not. I don't know where that came from. Oh, I saw y'all beefing on Twitter. I'm like, I wouldn't even call it beefing. Like, what is going on here? But anyways, guys, we're not here to talk about days of our lives, our relationship problems between myself and Destin Adams, okay? Our brotherhood problems. We're not here to discuss that. We talk with Zach about that on the side as well. We go to therapy together. But Destin, you did mention, I might push people to unsubscribe. That's actually what we don't want you to do. If you're watching right now, before we get into everything, if we would continue to please push you guys to hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, comment down below, and chat with us. Tell us what you think about any point that came up in this show. And this is the Blue Stable Podcast. Some things get said, some arguments happen, and we still love each other and the Colts at the end of the day. So let's go ahead and get started, guys. Minicamp obviously started this past week. We were recording here Tuesday night. Started yesterday, obviously. Let's open up with the big news. Kenny Moore is officially at Colts Minicamp. He was, sitting on the sidelines in the non-mandatory OTAs of the offseason. He was there. He was present. He was engaging with the coaches, engaging with the players, just wasn't on the field practicing. Now, mandatory has come around, and he shows up. It was reported that he was at the facility for his physical prior to mandatory minicamp, and so is Yannick Ngakoue, who was absent from all of offseason activities. He was down in Florida doing his job. He was working. He was training, doing all that he needs to do, okay? So let's open it up. Destin, I'm actually going to start with you, man. Kenny Moore, the situation with his contract and everything, we're not going to get into too much on the contract side of things, but it is a welcome sight to see, the early groundwork be laid for a potential holdout, and that holdout does not come through. Kenny Moore is at practice, and he is playing, and he's participating in a year introducing a new scheme, new coaching staff. How impactful is that going to be?
Yeah, I just want to start out with saying like the voluntary holdout of like voluntary OTAs didn't really mean much to me. It just because like does it matter if like veterans are there anyway? I mean, even at the mandatory mini camps right now, most notable players are going to be out there. They'll do their position group workouts, but they're not going to really be doing much 7-on-7. They're definitely not going to be in the 11-on-11s. There's just no reason to risk anything. I mean, Jonathan Taylor is on a rookie contract. He's not grieving with the Colts, and he was out there today, but didn't do a lot of the 11-on-11, 7-on-7 type things. Kenny Moore was out there. He did do his positional group things, and then other than that was off to the side, like a lot of vets were. But yeah, I was never really that worried about it. You don't see a lot of these contractual disagreements with Colts players often. We see it elsewhere in the media, but you don't really see Colts players beefing about their contracts much. So it was interesting to hear. And it was an interesting situation because he got paid recently. But it was good to see him out there. Kind of shush some of those people down a little bit. Mostly Titans fans in my mentions talking about it. But it is good to have him out there, and hopefully the contractual issues can get pushed off a little bit, and we can get ready for football.
And yeah, with Kenny sitting, it was more like a sit-in, I would say, because I feel like he was really just not participating in the practice. He was interacting with his teammates and his coaches, right? But just to have him
was
out
there. He was there on the side.
He was there. And I just don't think this should come as much of a surprise, especially when he changes agents too, right? Like that's usually what happens when a player changes agents. They want a new contract, right? So just to have him back out there, it's a really nice sign. And honestly, I'm not surprised that he's participating because, the fines are like $50,000 for each day you miss a mandatory minicamp. So it's just going to be too expensive for him to miss at the end of the day. And it's just nice to have him back on the field.
Hey, man, just like my old coach in high school said during class, fake it till you make it. And that's what I see Kenny Moore is doing. Like Dustin said, he's in the positional drills, off to the side, really in a lot of stuff. And I know there's been a lot of talk on Twitter about, oh, man, can Kenny Moore's absence, if he holds out, is that going to affect guys like Michael Pittman's growth, like Alec Pierce's growth, Ashton Doolin's growth? Like you have nobody to play the slot. That is bogus. That is wrong. You can push Isaiah Rodgers to the inside and put Brandon Fashion on the opposite end outside. You can throw Kari Willis in there. You can throw Rodney McLeod in there. You can throw Nick Cross in there. Like the team is deep, and that's one of the biggest things that I've admired about Chris Ballard's approach this offseason, that he created so much depth in the secondary where we haven't seen a lot of depth in the last 10 years. We haven't seen a lot of it. So I'm not worried about it at all. I mean,
so why is that even so I saw it too. So Michael's not wrong. That is a topic being discussed. Yeah. Or if these guys are on the sideline, or is that going to hurt these receivers? These practices aren't even contact practices. I mean, it's basically like if you guys are on like TikTok and all those things, and you see like the walking football things where you have to like walk and the defender's right there and you're all walking everywhere. It's like that type of work right now. It's good to be there. First and foremost, the playbook, learning all those things, running through those schematical issues like that. Like those are big. And we've not had that for a quarterback. And as everyone here listening knows, and everyone here knows, the Colts had to know a thing or two about a new quarterback now. In the last 3 years, we've not had that opportunity to have this quarterback in place for these going on because of COVID protocols. So now we're getting to do that. It's important that everyone's here, and it's mandatory for a reason. But it doesn't matter. No one's going 100%. Training camp, we're not even going to really see the top dogs going hard in training camp. Training camp, when you're going to see the 110%ers, is going to be the guys on the fringe of the roster, like these receivers that are going to be battling for those like 4 to 6, maybe 7. Who knows if they keep 7 receivers again. Hey, all those guys, they're going to be battling. These DBs, they're going to be battling. The D-line, those guys. I don't care. I'm not worried about Michael Pittman. I'm not worried about Kenny Moore. I'm just not.
Yeah, I don't know why it's a topic of conversation. I mean, if you're just trying to create conversation, I could see it but at the end of the day, if we're being realistic, what are we really doing? It's mandatory. The biggest thing you're doing is just understanding the scheme. That's really it.
Yeah.
And I do think, and I do understand that the NFL is taking a different approach in how they do off-season activities, because we've seen a lot of off-season and training camp injuries where these star players doing something that they truly needed to do. Like even last year, unfortunately, J.K. Dobbins, running back for the Baltimore Ravens, his place was already cemented on the team, and he's playing in a preseason game. Did he really need to be doing that? Like, that could be another approach that the NFL could be taking at the same time. So like Destin said, even in mandatory just for the sake of showing up, that's great. If you're not in 11 on 11 or 7 on 7, why do I care? It is 7 on 7. It's made for the quarterback and wide receiver to elevate their game, to show off. That's literally what it is.
So real quick, ad-libbing off what Mike said. If you guys were a head coach in the NFL, do you play any high notable players in the preseason?
Hell no.
No.
Not even a snap.
Not even a chance.
Okay, we're on the same page.
They don't even come to the stadium on game day.
I understand young players in a sense. The rookie players, okay, I get that. Second-year players, depending on the talent level, I understand it. If you're a guy that is a lock to be in the starting role going and you're not a rookie, I'm not playing. If I was a head coach, you wouldn't play a snap in the preseason. You just wouldn't. It's pointless. Let the guys battle out who are wanting to earn jobs, because the other cool thing about this, and I don't know about cool is the right answer, but for J.K. Dobbins last year, all those guys that are playing on the defense, 90% of them are guys fighting for roster spots. And you know how those guys are going to make roster spots? By killing dudes. Like they're just out there flying at 100 miles an hour trying to earn a roster spot. I'm not putting Jonathan Taylor out there so some fifth string linebacker can try to earn his cred on a roster.
Not even Nyheim Hines. Not even him.
No. It'll be like Tyson Williams and who's the guy? Philip Lindsay, right? I mean, those are the kind of guys we'll probably be playing, right?
Hey, Philip Lindsay can have 30 carries if he wants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So back to the point of Kenny Moore being absent for OTAs. I mean, it also gives Gus Bradley, who's our new defensive coordinator, some different like personnel alignments, right? You can play around with different players. You can have Kenny Moore or not Kenny Moore. You have Isaiah Rodgers on the inside. Rodney Thomas, you could maybe move him around too. The guy we drafted from Yale. I mean, there's just so much he can do while Kenny Moore's out. And then when Kenny Moore comes back, we're going to be in a better position for it because, now we know Isaiah Rodgers can kick inside if we need him to, or we know there's just allows you to be more versatile. And there's nothing bad about that.
I mean, the Colts,
Kenny Moore's probably going to get a raise from all this. So all the better. Right?
I mean, the Colts triple dipped into the safety market too. We have like 12 safeties on the roster.
Yeah.
I'm still a firm believer. The reason we did that was because, of a certain mullet that was in the backfield last year. But they have enough players if they could move them around if they want right now.
And plus, I just see this as
scarred by that.
I just see it as no big deal. He's a veteran. He just needs to learn the scheme. Exactly. And at this time of the year, do you really need to be on the field to do that? No. Get in the film room. Get with Ron Miles. Get with Gus Bradley. Get with those guys. Like,
and he already is.
As a vet, do that. Like, what am I tripping because Kenny Moore doesn't have a helmet on? No, he's a vet. Why does he need to? Another vet that we actually need to discuss is Yannick Ngakoue, who was absent from, of course, like I said at opening the show, he was absent, but he is now back again. Even a bigger no big deal than Kenny Moore's situation. He's played in Gus Bradley's system his entire career. He already knows what his job is. He knows how the scheme works. So why does he need to be here? He's already in Florida just training. Why does he need to be here? He's been with Gus Bradley since he entered the league. He knows what his job is. He knows every play of his playbook. When it matters most is now, when it's mandatory, when you get to training camp. That's when I want to see Yannick Ngakoue. That's just my 2 cents on it. We don't have to stay long on this.
I mean, he's even been in Indy multiple times since the deal went down. He obviously went down for like the signing and everything that had to take place. But I believe, and don't quote me on this. Let me know in the comments if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was reported that he was one of the few vets that was in the building during rookie minicamp, just working in Indy a little bit before he headed out to Florida for some more intensive training that he did during this voluntary area of work. So yeah, and like you said, he knows the playbook. He's been with Gus multiple times. He's had success with Gus at every single turn that they've been together in their career. He knows what role he's going to be in. It's an easy transition.
If Chris Ballard approves it, I'm cool with it, right? Like people who know what they're doing, their jobs are literally football. They're allowing Yannick to go do his training in Florida, right? Yannick's earned that. He's a very well-respected player in the NFL, and he's earned his dues. I think he's completely fine to go work out in Florida if that's what he feels like is best for him ultimately.
Support for the Blue Stable is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Their new product out, the Performance Package 4.0, is the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. Join over 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you guys. 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code BSTABLE2 at manscaped.com. Remember, that's BStable2. And real quick, before we jump into the show again, it's beneficial to have Manscaped, in my opinion. I mean, their products are off the chart. I'd never used it. I didn't even probably know it existed until I did my research. Ordered a quick something. You got a nice toiletry bag, nice leather. They also have new products out. They have a deodorant out, Scent of Refine. I wear it to work. Like, it is great. It's better than me personally. Better than Degree, and I use Degree, but not anymore because I use that because it's for work. Doesn't smear, doesn't do anything like that. A nice little trimmer with an LED light lets you know it's on. You got a nice little nose trimmer as well. Destin says he loves that. So make sure you go to manscaped.com and get 20% off with the code BStable2. Now, what is also in support is fast recovery, and that's what we like here at the Blue Stable. Guys, Julian Blackman unfortunately tore his ACL before the Titans game. Or tore his Achilles, ruptured his Achilles before the Titans game. That was in October. It is June, early June, and he's already back on the field. Not even just back on the field. He's doing drills, positional drills. He's been elevated to 7-on-7 work. He's doing backpedaling, quick backpedaling. For a guy who just ruptured his Achilles, backpedaling is like, in my understanding with, sports medicine, sports training, sports recovery, backpedaling after an Achilles injury is a major step that takes place in like month 10 in the recovery process. He's in like month 6, and he's already on track to be good to go when the season starts, hopefully. And he's already back on the field, elevated to 7-on-7. Obviously, our guys that have been at Colts camp, obviously, I want to credit these guys, Zach Kiefer, Joel Erickson. These guys have been on top of that at OTAs all day long, and they are reporting great. So I want to give their credit where their credit is due. Guys, Zach, I'll start with you here, man. Julian Blackman, and he is probably my favorite safety, probably my favorite secondary player in the whole secondary. I love him. And my heart was warmed when I read this.
Yeah.
So what is your reaction to Julian Blackman rapidly getting back on the field after such a horrific injury?
So I think Colts fans need to let this sink in. Like, before he comes to Indy, he tore his ACL at Utah, right? He plays lights out, like better than anyone could have expected. And probably the Colts, to be honest, too. Then he continues to play well, and then he has the Achilles. And now we're in month 6, right? Like you said, we're in month 6 of his recovery. And Nate Atkins today, shout out Nate Atkins of the Indy Star, he tweeted, Blackman out there in 7-on-7 drills and moving what looked like full speed, faster than most of the vets, and displaying his usual radiant energy. Just to hear that kind of report after a guy who's been through so much physical pain and also mental pain too, it's just so great to see him recover so quickly and have the mental wherewithal to kind of, it sounds like he's back to being Julian Blackman. And that's great. I mean, I think this year with Gus Bradley, his ability to be single high safety looks, I think this is just going to be a great year for him. And it's awesome that Julian Blackman is feeling better.
Yeah, I mean, fast recovery is just part of his nature, I guess. When he was drafted, like Zach kind of touched on, the expectation was for him to be in practice by November. He was playing on the field by October. I believe it was like late October, but still, he was on the field, not just practicing. He was in game in October.
You mean in his rookie year?
Yes.
No, he was playing by the second week.
I believe it was October. I could be wrong with like the exact timeline.
I think it was week 2. He was already on the field against Minnesota. Week 2.
Like I
think
said,
you're right. Yeah.
Julian Blackman's mantra: fast recovery. He's ridiculous. Now, that was coming off an ACL before going into his rookie year. The Achilles are a little bit interesting. ACLs nowadays, it just feels like if you're a great athlete, you almost get all of it back. It used to be ACLs were devastating injuries, and you would see guys take forever to become who they are again. In the NFL nowadays, especially, the medical staffs that have been working on it and researching have found a lot of ways to get guys back. Achilles that's one of the tougher ones right now. Guys get Achilles injuries, and it's devastating when it happens because it's just one of those things where are they going to come back the same? We've seen running backs, we've seen linemen. The Colts, for whatever reason, have went all the way in on Achilles injuries. We saw that last year with however many we had rehabbing Achilles at the same time. So maybe they learned a thing or two in that process, and that helped them with the Julian Blackman era. For him to be already practicing, I was expecting them to want him to be in practice by training camp, hopefully be ready to play by week 1. For him to be already on 7-on-7s, that's kind of ridiculous. Because positional drills, like those are pretty light work. You're going to run through it a little bit, but it's not something that is intensive. So like him being in positional drills in minicamp wouldn't have been like the craziest thing. It's still fantastic, but it wouldn't have been like, wow. To be on 7-on-7 right now and legit backpedaling, covering receivers, you're not in contact yet, but you're in coverage. That's crazy. It's June. It's a good sign for training camp.
And I want to put this disclaimer out there. Julian Blackman is making it look easy to come back from ACL, Achilles injuries, pretty significant injuries. No, it is not. This is not the case with every player in the league. I mean, Julian Blackman, by our good graces, our prayers, knocking on wood always for him, he's doing it. I'm not sure if it's how he trained when he was growing up, how he took care of his body, the nutrition that he puts in. I do know strength and nutrition is getting much more advanced, especially in college, because they specifically very detailed oriented in what they give these athletes nutrition wise, how they start the recovery process in the off season, even if it's not an injury. If you're just simply banged up, how do you do that? And I've been doing a lot of digging into that. It's quite fascinating. If you actually don't go on YouTube, you learn a lot. I'm not going to go into full detail on this show, but it's a lot of things that nutrition and recovery, the science of it all, is taking on a whole new impact in sports today. And you see it sometimes, like Dustin said, ACLs used to be the career ender, the career altering injury. And that's not so much the case anymore. Thankfully, again, Julian Blackman is back on the field, but I just want to put it out there. Like, this is not the norm for guys with Achilles injuries. This does not happen very often.
And before we end on that note, like, you know how much mental toughness that would take to recover from two major surgeries, or two major injuries like that so early in your career. Like that should not be overlooked.
Let's be thankful how young he is, and let's be thankful how crazy of an athlete he is.
Yeah.
Because especially the Achilles element right now, because the ACLs, I mean, it used to be really awful. The Adrian Peterson year happens where he recovers from the ACL, wins the MVP, all that jazz happens. But before that Adrian Peterson year, the ACLs, like Michael said, it could be a career ender. It was like, when that happens, you're like, will I come back? The Achilles right now, like, that's kind of what's going around. Like, they're trying to figure out ways to recover from that faster. And let's hope that we're able to elevate that and get there in the NFL, not just for Julian Blackman's case, because we've seen so many. Marlon Mack had that hurt his career. Malik Hooker, former Colts safety, that kind of ended his time in Indy, was an Achilles. And there's been so many others that are not even in Indianapolis. So let's just hope that this Blackman recovery is the beginning. And we're hoping and knocking on wood for no setbacks in minicamp.
Hey, man, and you're forgetting the most important thing. He's a Utah Ute. Any Utah Utes out there, make sure you comment, like, subscribe to the Blue Stable. Here we go. Utah Ute. We are a Utah stable channel now, okay? No more Indiana Hoosiers, no more TCU Horned Frogs.
Hey, watch the Indiana Hoosiers. Destin and I are
Lord.
still-
Okay. All right. We already started talking Indiana
We can talk
Hoosiers
about
now.
Micah McFadden if you want, Michael.
Okay, all right. We're moving on. We're moving on here. Another interesting thing that we're going to talk about is something that was actually put out there on Twitter, and we're actually going to talk about it on the show right here. Okay, how many Colts by the end of 2022?
I think we're forgetting one big thing from minicamp real quick before we go on to that.
Oh my gosh!
I think we're forgetting the report did come out today. Darius Leonard did end up having back surgery. It's a pretty big one.
Lord.
It's a sadder comment, so I understood you wanted to go over it and miss it. But my thoughts on it are going to be quick. If this was training camp, I'd be more concerned. It's June. He seems very high-spirited about it right now. I don't know if you guys saw his personal posts about it. I know Pat McAfee had a segment today saying that this surgery is awful news. He responds to that saying, Pat, I promise you this is great news. Call me, buddy. I can give you all the details. And then commenting just flat out on his surgery today, Darius said, surgery went well, feeling amazing and ready to get back going. If you know me, you know I always come back way better than I was. Let's go, man. Ankle feels amazing. That's a really important line. Ankle feels amazing and can't wait to get back moving. Thanks for the texts and calls. It's June. I think this is going to be all right. And let's kind of hope that the back and ankle situation, they could have been connected a little bit. Maybe what was causing some stress on the ankle has to do with whatever has been hurting his back. And maybe it was a posture thing. It could be a lot of things. The body is a crazy world. So I'm hoping that they were connected in some light, and this back surgery can help those things down the line. That's the optimist in me where I'm going with it. It's June 7th when we're recording this. I'm not all that worried.
The ankle affecting the back doesn't sound right to me, but I'm not a medical
back
professional.
affecting the ankle.
Or the back effect. I regardless, tomato, I don't care. Vice versa. I'm not a medical professional, so I don't know how to answer that. I'm gonna go with Darius. I'm gonna go with the medical professionals that if it was a great thing, then it was a great thing. We don't know the details. We don't know the details around that phone call between Pat McAfee and Darius Leonard, if there was one. But I have a little bit more concern. I mean, we're saying that it's in June and we don't know what the problem was, but how many surgeries and procedures has Darius Leonard had already? And how old is he?
Fair point.
They're stacking up.
This is starting to get concerning a little bit. And he plays linebacker, one of the most, if not the most physically embracing positions on the field. And the ankle was supposedly cleaned up last offseason. Guess what? Never got cleaned up. It was a lingering issue all year. He fought through it, but he's young. Is he going to be able to fight through it 4 years from now? Knocking on wood that this issue is gone. Now it's the back. It's like one thing stacked on top of another. Like first it was concussions and he was, thinking, I don't want to misquote it, but he was having thoughts about things. And now it's the ankle that's been lingering through his career. Now it's back. I'm more concerned than Destin is for not for the season, for his career. I'm more concerned in that aspect because at such a young age, how many procedures has he already had? And I'm hoping this is it. I'm praying that this is the last procedure he ever has to schedule. So, it's not something to talk too much on until we get to training camp and we get more medical updates on and see where he's at. Clearly, he's not going to be playing preseason like he was before this announcement, but that's all I have to say about that. I am a lot more concerned than Destin is, but for his career, not this season.
Yeah, I think it's important that Darius feels optimistic because obviously, that's the most important part of this. But again, even going back to when we talked about Kenny Moore missing out, right? This just gives guys another opportunity. And we saw it last year in Arizona with EJ Speed, right? He played phenomenal. Not just good, he played phenomenal. So to give him more run, maybe even in the preseason, maybe he's a guy now that in Darius Leonard's absence, if he has to miss maybe 1 or 2 games. I mean, right now they're saying he's not missing any games, but maybe if he misses 1 or 2 games and EJ Speed plays really well, then you trade him, or you have more depth. It just gives guys an opportunity, which is never a bad thing as long as they show up and play well, right?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think there's too much to harp on right now until we get true updates about where this is going. Obviously, we're talking about it now. All we know is that a procedure was done. The Colts are not going to release what the details of that was, why it was scheduled. They're not going to release that. Darius is going to talk about that maybe when we get to training camp. He's going to talk about that at some point during the season. So other than that, that's really all we have to say. We don't have any medical information. So there's really not much. There's no reason to continue to speculate about what it could or could not be. So again, we're knocking on wood, praying for you, Darius, maniac. Hopefully you're out there by week 1. If you're not, I just hope and pray that you are 100% healthy, regardless of football. So back to what I was about to get into before jumping this topic. How many Colts by the end of 2022 are going to be in the top 10 of their respected positions? So, Destin, I'm actually going to start with you on this. I'm going to pass the mic to you, man. How many players do you think, now we don't have to get specific, but let's just start with the number and then get into the names, are going to be top 10 by the end of 2022?
Yeah, so this was a fun discussion on Twitter. If you follow us at @the_blue_stable on Twitter, we posted this today, got a lot of interactions, a lot of different answers. I went back and forth on a few things. I really, really went into what Coach Reich and some others have said about certain players. The number I ended up with is a little bit more optimistic than some. I'm going to say 11.
11? So our entire defense is top 10.
So, I mean, that's not necessarily the names. We're going to get into the names after, but the number is 11 right now. That's what I got.
Okay. Zach, let me go to you, man.
So this is my thinking behind it. So last year we had 7 Pro Bowlers, right? So I would say it's probably somewhere in the 7 to 10 range. It just kind of depends, right? Like,
so Zach meant 7 to 11. I think that's what he meant.
No, I don't think that's what I said there. Don't twist my words there. But anyways, yeah, I think adding a guy like Matt Ryan, maybe if he can play up to his potential in this offense, like, I don't think we talk about it enough. He was an MVP in a similar type of offense. So if we can get him up into, I'm not saying he's going to be like the top of the top, but if we can get him into that top 10 range, Colts are going to be cooking. Then the other thing is Kwity Paye. I think maybe he's a guy that if he takes a massive leap, which I really think he can. I mean, look at Max Crosby in Las Vegas when they had Yannick, right? Look at the leap he took there. So with that, I mean, Kwity coming in this year, in year 2, with Yannick on the opposite side of him and DeForest manning the middle, I would say he's a top 10 interior D lineman easily. So, or top 5 even. Yeah, like Michael's pointing to there. I think that it really depends. It really depends on the development of other players.
So what was your number you are going to end on?
Yeah,
here?
What was the official number?
I'll end on like 8 or 9. I think we'll have 3 more top 10 type players.
Okay.
So this is just for the team, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I actually have 12.
Man,
I actually have 12.
Okay.
I don't
Okay.
really
Like the
think
optimist.
I don't think that's too far fetched if we're being honest, if we're being
there
specific.
were two others. So I said 11. There were two other guys that I debated. So I technically had the ability to be at 13.
Don't say you debated the one name that I think you're gonna say, because there is not gonna be a debate.
I mean, I'll
Don't
say
do
my
it.
names in a second, but we'll see.
I swear, if you say my son's name, I'm going.
Oh,
to
you're good.
delete-
You're good. You're good. He's in my 11. You're good.
Okay. All right. Go ahead, Destin. Let's go with your name.
Okay. So the 11 that I have Darius Leonard, Quentin Nelson, Jonathan Taylor, DeForest Buckner. I think those are all pretty set in stone guys. Kenny Moore, Ryan Kelly, Braden Smith. I think that's 7. I think those guys are pretty locked in to be top 10 at their personal position. Kenny Moore is being nickel corner, Braden Smith being right tackle. So not just tackle in general. And then some of the guys that I believe to get there, Gilmore is 8, Rigoberto Sanchez, I have him as 9, Luke Rhodes, I have him at 10, and I have Michael Pittman at 11. Michael Pittman is one that some would probably argue. I'm really thinking this is going to be like, I think he took a way larger step than I imagined, than Michael predicted this past year. And I think this year is going to be the I am Michael Pittman year. Like he's going to be a household name across the league. And I really think he can be a top 10 in his position. Now, the two that I was considering, I didn't go with. So Ashton Doolin at gunner. I didn't end up doing Doolin because of Frank Reich's comments recently that kind of make me think he's going to be stepping up more in receiver snaps. So I don't know if he's going to be the primary gunner anymore. I really just don't think he will.
We're talking about him as a gunner, right? Just want to double check that.
Yeah, as a gunner.
Good,
I was saying I was considering Ashton Doolin in the process of being a top 10 gunner, and because I believe he's top 5 in the NFL when he's used in that gunner role.
So I wasn't thinking of gunner when I was thinking of these like.
That's positions. That's a position.
But who thinks about gunner in the NFL? Like if we're being legit, like I'm not trying to sound sarcastic. If we're being legit, like
is it a position?
Nobody. No, but I get you. I'm just saying if we were to go to a national media person and said, give me your top 10 on everything, they would not put a gunner.
I understand
that.
I understand that gunner is not going to be like the sexy position. I mean, I included punter and long snapper on here, but that's their respected positions. I mean, Luke Rhodes has been an all-pro long snapper. That's an all-pro position. And then you go, and it's a special teamer technically. So just putting it out there, but he's been an all-pro. He's been a Pro Bowler. Rigoberto Sanchez is a punter. It's their respected positions. And to me, a gunner is a position in the NFL that it happens. I mean, Doolin has had accolades from it. George Odom, who's no longer in Indianapolis, played gunner for multiple years in Indianapolis and got accolades as well. Was an all-pro even.
Hey, don't forget this past season, EJ Speed got votes for the all-pro special teamer.
Yeah, so there's definitely other guys that could step into that role and still be top 10, but because I don't know who is going to be it, I left it off.
Okay, that was definitely interesting. I just it kind of threw me off when I heard gunner. I'm just like, oh, okay, I didn't know we were adding that, because if I would have thought about that, I would have added Doolin there. I didn't even add punter, but I had to add Sanchez there too. So I just don't think about those positions. That was just my initial point.
I get it. I understand that I may have thought more than an average football fan on it. To me, it's just I was pretty passionate about it last year.
We love it.
During training camp, I was a part of Keep 7 Receivers because special teams matters to me. So I understand it won't for everybody, but for me, I felt the need to talk about it.
All right, Zach. Well, hit us up, man. Hit us up. Where are you going?
So I definitely agree with Destin in having Michael Pittman on that list. Like, I think he's going to be one of the top players on the Colts this year, especially with the offense that that Frank Reich's going to employ with Matt Ryan, with all the in-breaking routes he's going to be doing. I think that's just going to fit his skill set so well. So obviously Michael Pittman, then Jonathan Taylor, because do I even have to explain it? Jonathan Taylor's going to do Jonathan Taylor things. Then Darius Leonard, when healthy, obviously. He's number 3. Quentin Nelson, I'll put it like 4, like for my 4th guy. And then Kenny, you have to put a guy I think could step up. And I even tossed it out on Twitter the other day is I think Isaiah Rodgers is going to outplay Stephon Gilmore. I legit think that. I am really high on Isaiah Rodgers. And
so just out of curiosity, you're saying you believe – I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just making a factual statement. You're saying you think Isaiah Rodgers
can be.
End of 2022 can be a top 10 outside corner.
I think so.
Okay. I just wanted to make it clear. I like it. I like the boldness.
I'm a big believer in his athleticism and what he displayed last year. And now at the coaching staff, that's going to give him the green light to play a lot of snaps. And Ron Miles being there coaching him, John Fox. Just you talk about the influence he's going to have around him, and Rodney McLeod. There's just so many guys. They're going to have such an impact on Rodgers. I think he's going to be a guy. So that was my 6th guy, right? And then who else I think Ryan Kelly. Ryan Kelly's definitely in that discussion. And then my 8th would probably be Matt Ryan, because I think Matt Ryan's going to play really well here.
So you could have missed it on purpose, but so DeForest Buckner?
Yeah, he would be on there. So
okay. So there's the 9. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I respect it.
Hey, man, y'all already know how I feel about Isaiah Rodgers. I really liked what I saw midway through his rookie year 2020 playoff game against Stephon Diggs. Showed some really good talent on a couple of plays.
If he's a top 10 corner in the NFL, though,
sign me up.
Contender.
We're
saying that right now.
I
don't know if I agree with Zach at the end of 2022. I like the optimism, but if that's the step he takes, because I think Gilmore is going to be good this year. So if he's above Gilmore this year and he's a top 10 corner in the NFL, I need to find a bookie right now.
Let's see if he wins the starting outside job first. That's what I just want to say. Because, hey, I'm all here. I'm all ears for Isaiah Rodgers' season. I'm all ears. Like, don't get me wrong. But he was my guy to highlight last year. He played really well this year. I'm intrigued. Let's just see him win the job first. But also, I do like the optimism.
My other line of thinking, too, is why would Chris Ballard feel so comfortable trading Rocky Zinn, right? Like, Isaiah Rodgers was going to be the top corner on this team if he didn't go out and sign Stephon Gilmore, right? So
I guess the only pushback to that comment would be, I think when it came down to that, it was just you're getting rid of a corner for an edge rusher. An edge rusher. So the positional value is going to add into that. I agree though. We said it when the trade happened, Mike. There was not a player that Chris Ballard has taken the time to give props to more than Rocky Sin in his time in Indianapolis. There was not a player that Chris Ballard decided to say props about, even when no one else was. 2 years ago, Rocky Sin's having a tough year. Chris Ballard would make a point to say positives about his game, and he's gone. I was shocked for that reason, but I think the edge rusher issue is what caused that more than anything.
And that could be true. I'm just pointing out that they obviously felt really comfortable choosing him over a guy they really like. So that's something to consider, I think.
Okay. So I know originally I said 12. After considering the punter, again, putting Rigoberto Sanchez in mind, I did add someone else. Now it's at 14. So let me just go ahead. I'll read off the obvious ones. Okay. Obviously, we already know. Grover Stewart, I think he's a top 10 nose tackle already. Nose tackle playing the one tech. DeForest Buckner, Darius Leonard, Kenny Moore, Quentin Nelson, Jonathan Taylor, Braden Smith, Ryan Kelly. I think they're top 10 at their respective positions. Michael Pittman, even though he may have not been last year, he's going to be top 10 this year. I am claiming it right now at 9:52 on June 7th, 2022. Michael Pittman is going to be a top 10 receiver in 2022. Argue with your mama, okay? Argue with your mama. Don't argue with me about it. You will lose. So now getting away from the obvious, I am going to put Matt Ryan in this discussion because I not trying to like sound like, I guess you could say, put myself up there, but I was on board with him coming to Indy before anyone else. I saw in Destin, you have been doing
confirm. Can confirm Mike was well before anyone else. Like before it was even a thought that Matt Ryan could be traded. Right.
And what Destin's doing on Twitter right now is he's going through his games from this past year, and he's seeing some stuff. And well, I mean, I'm pretty sure he's already seen it, but just reviewing the film, I just remember seeing some of these games, seeing some of these throws, and especially look at his thread if you haven't already. His link to his Twitter is in the description below if you're listening on YouTube. So go to his Twitter page and check that out. Give him a follow as well if you're not already. He gets the ball out so quick. And I can't just help but think in a Frank Reich offense that's designed to do that. Phillip Rivers was elite at it. Carson Wentz was not good at it. Matt Ryan coming here where he thrives on getting the ball out. I mean, go back to those games the year they went to the Super Bowl. Quick, fast, in a hurry, got out to Roddy White, got out to Taylor Gabriel, got out to Julio Jones. Under Kyle Shanahan, he got the ball out quick. And in Indianapolis, he's going to have a better offensive line than he did in Atlanta. I'll give Atlanta that year, obviously, the better weapons, but a better running game? I don't think so. Jonathan Taylor, Naheem Hines, Devontae Freeman? No, I'll take Jonathan Taylor. The tight ends probably got me at the tight end, still unproven there, but I still love where it is and where this offense can be projected, especially if Michael Pittman can again cement himself even more than he did in 2020. Matt Ryan can be a top 10 player. Maybe statistically, if you don't truly believe just by talent, okay, I'm not going to argue there, but statistically, I think he could be top 10. Completion percentage, touchdowns, I'll take it.
Statistically,
yes,
he could. I agree there.
Talent-wise, no, but statistically, yes.
List of the top 10 quarterbacks, I think that will be – I'm not going to say – I don't want to say impossible because that just seems disrespectful, but it will be very difficult. And we're going to be talking a little bit about this in a second on the next segment that we're going to, but it would be hard for Matt Ryan to be a top 10 quarterback to me. So I left him off my list for that reason. Yeah, statistically, I'll say he's there. But now we're going to get interesting because I don't think too many people are surprised by that because I've loved Matt Ryan ever since January. So, not a lot of people are surprised by that. So,
okay, quick question for you, Mike, before we hop into the next segment. So, do you think the attack front that Gus Bradley is going to employ hurts or helps Grover Stewart?
It helps.
It hurts.
I would think it helps because
I think he's the player that it hurts the most.
Yeah.
Well, again, even if he goes down in playing time, it still doesn't take away what he is as a talent. Now, I know that wasn't the question, but
I don't know if his
what would you say by hurt? What do you mean by that?
Because I think for Grover, he's such a run stopper that I feel like the attack front's going to force him to be in a role that he's not.
His mindset has to change the most.
His mindset has to change.
I agree with Zach because if you watch Grover's tape, he is just and maybe the flu scheme just makes it look like that, and maybe we're both wrong. Maybe that's the case,
right?
But when you watch Grover on film, you just see a very heavy run-stopping presence, which is what he's asked to do.
Yes.
He's operating in that one-tech realm of things a little bit. So that's where you see Grover play. And I just think in the attack front, and I've said it for a little while now, that of the guys on this defensive line who I think this scheme could hurt, it's Grover.
I agree.
If that mentality is not something he can adjust to well, because you can't have – the other 3-4 guys rushing with everybody going straight towards the quarterback and stopping the run if you have to, and then have Grover not having that same mentality. Eventually, you would just a lot of people on Twitter are big Dio people. I think there is a situation, a scenario where if Dio is who we think he can be, he takes those snaps because of this defense.
Well, I'll say that, and that's a hypothetical. That's a big if. Well, is it as big of an if as I'm letting on? I won't take away a big if. I'll just say that's an if. As of right now, there aren't any. I would agree with you if there were viable options behind Grover, but who is behind Grover? Who?
It'd be Dio. Eric Johnson was drafted. Curtis Brooks,
but that's a rookie.
Guy.
You're not going to expect too much from a rookie interior player. So,
of course.
So maybe Taekwon, but maybe he backs up Yannick Ngakoue. Well, again, all these guys are versatile, so they can play in and out. But do I think it could hurt? Absolutely. I'll agree with you. Is he a pass rusher? I think we established that like 2 years ago that he's not. But in terms of stopping the run, I don't think Gus is just going to take Grover because, if you can't rush the passer, I can't. No, that's just not how that works. You are one of the best in the league at stopping the run. So on first and second down, guess what? You're going to play and you're going to excel. Now that's in June. Let's come back again in October, November, and we will revisit this conversation, Zach. Getting back here, I think of obviously Rigoberto Sanchez. Let me put that one out there. Now, the three ones that I think are going to excel, Khari Willis as a strong safety. I think I've loved him ever since he stepped foot in the league. Go back to his rookie year in, 2019. Week one, and that's when you had the injury to Malik Hooker. He was already all over the field. He was already making plays. I believe that year you opened up the year against the Chargers. Malik Hooker had that great one-handed interception to the end zone against Phillip Rivers. But the next week against Tennessee, Khari Willis was seeing snaps, and he was already making plays. I remember watching a play, and I actually remember the exact play. It was zone right with Derrick Henry to the far Colts side of the sideline. He's running out, and I just see a safety zoom in and take him out. I'm like, who the heck was that? Khari Willis. And he's played really good as a strong safety. So I think he takes that leap again. He already performed well, but Ron Miles coming in and an attacking, he can play certain positions, but as strong safety, Gus Bradley, Ron Miles, I think Willis just takes that next step.
So do you think he's brought back if that happens, though?
Yes.
You think the Colts would do it? Even so you're going to push back on the Nick Cross truthers right now.
I'm not pushing back at all. Why can't you keep three really good safeties?
Well, no, I'm not saying that, but the Nick Cross truthers are saying that Cross will take the strong safety position by like week 8. That's like a number that I've seen by a lot of people. I like Willis a lot. I like Willis a lot.
Really, I want to say
that.
Look,
I think
I love
very
Nick
underrated.
Cross, man. I love Nick Cross. All this preseason hype, this offseason hype. I get it. Talent-wise, is Nick Cross superior to Khari Willis? Probably. But I think Khari Willis has done too much for our defense to just be pushed off to the side by Nick Cross truthers. Not calling out anybody's in specific.
Oh, you're good. There's a lot of them. I don't think any one person will feel attacked here.
I'm big on let's give respect to these guys that have busted their ass and made plays. So right now, no, I'm not gonna submit to Nick Cross truthers because he's not taking Khari Willis' job by week 8 or by week 12. Khari Willis is a very good strong safety.
I agree with you in the sense because I think for the most part, we're going to see Willis moved into the box more often than we're going to see him in the strong safety parameter anyway. So I don't think it has to matter that much. I don't know if I could go on the left and say I think he's going to be a top 10 guy in that realm.
I think he's already free.
I like him.
10.
I like him a lot. I think he's very underrated.
Too.
But 10 is we're in a very deep safety NFL right now.
I will say we'll be doing these position rankings, and I will revisit this conversation when we talk about strong safeties. Strong safeties, because and that leads me to my next guy, Destin. I've been on the record. I think the safety duo is one of the best in the NFL. And yes, even after coming back from an Achilles, I think this guy comes back and just continues to make plays and takes the next step. Julian Blackman right here quote we Marcus, I know you're watching this. Make a YouTube reel about this, and we'll revisit this in February after we win the Super Bowl. Julian Blackman is going to be a top 10 free safety by the end of 2022. Book it. I stand by my guys. I love Julian Blackman. And this isn't anything surprising because, Destin, you know I've been on the record. I love this safety duo. I think they're one of the best in the NFL. And we already know what duo has that best in the NFL. That's in Buffalo. We already know that. But I think these guys just take the next step. And yes, that is with Nick Cross being in town, Rodney McLeod being in town. That doesn't take away anything from their talent and what they're going to not be asked to do, but what they can do when they play together. Because if I just have to guess, I think Willis and Blackman are on the field week 1. I think they are. So until something happens, I can't discuss McLeod or Cross when it comes to these two guys because they're the starters and they've earned those jobs. Regardless of draft selection, regardless of where they were in the Super Bowl 4 years ago, it's these guys. Getting to my last guy is going to be Bobby Okereke, who we just interviewed last week. If you haven't checked that interview out already, Bobby Okereke joined the Blue Stable podcast for an exclusive interview. If you want to check that out in the description below. He grew so much in 2021. Remember, the year started out, we were talking about Anthony Walker, his presence being missed. It was big. He started to grow and grow and grow. And I know when Darius Leonard missed that Christmas game, we talk a lot about EJ Speed, but we don't talk enough about Bobby Okereke in that particular game. Because while EJ Speed was kind of tracking down Kyler Murray, Bobby Okereke was manning the middle and stopping the run in that game. He was manning the middle. Kyler Murray could not do anything in that middle. He's just so athletic. And I think, again, with a great scheme coming in here that's going to change the assignments of these linebackers, they're not only going to be top 10, they're going to take another step. I mean, Darius Leonard, we already know he's good. But with Richard Smith and Gus Bradley, imagine the next step he takes. And the same goes for Bobby Okereke. That's just where I'm at.
So, two situations. Both of those guys, Willis, who you talked of, Okereke, who you talked of, both in contract years. I don't like to speak in definites, but I'm going to speak in one right now. No chance we sign both of them, especially if your scenario happens where both end up top 10 to their position by the end of the year. So if you can only pick one, who do you let walk?
Willis. I'll let him walk.
Let Willis walk. Okay.
I think I keep my middle linebacker in Okereke. Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe that's just a linebacker lover in me talking, but
I mean, that's fine. I was just saying, if your prediction comes to fruition, they're both top 10s at their spots, there's just no chance that they're both back.
I probably agree with you. Not bad.
Okay. Hey, that's good.
But guys, again, like I said earlier in the show, get 20% off at manscaped.com when you use code BSTABLE2. Get free worldwide shipping and just use the best tools for the job. I can't really say anything else. Go to their website and check all that they have and get 20% off, guys. Our last segments of this show, guys, and I know we've been running a little bit, but guys, stick with us. It's the off season. We got some things to talk about. There's a lot of football.
Pause it, come back, listening to it in doses. We can have long episodes if we want to.
Yes, absolutely. And again, what else are we talking about, right? Like, we're going to save all these great shows when we get to training camp. But now we're going to start a series. Episode 1 of ranking the top 15 players at each position. In this show, we're going to go with the two most important positions in football: quarterback, pass rusher. I'm not going to go first. I feel like I've been talking a lot the last 15 minutes, so I'm going to give the viewers a break from my voice, from my hideous voice. Zach, I'm going to start with you, man. Break us down in your top 15 quarterbacks.
Yeah. Okay. So I think my list is going to surprise a lot of people. So at number 1, I've got Patrick Mahomes. That's not a surprise. I think that's
he's kind of we're good so far, Zach.
We're good so far. I think he's kind of the unanimous one because he's so talented. And people really underrate the mental side of his game too. He's such a smart quarterback as well. At number two, this is going to be someone that surprises a lot of people. Justin Herbert. I think Justin Herbert takes a huge step.
Zach, I think your mic went out. What was that? What was the name?
No, I
All
said
right, we
Justin
lost
Herbert.
Zach for the show. Remember to follow him on Twitter. Oh, Jesus.
Okay, so Justin Herbert at 2. Keep it coming.
Yeah, Justin Herbert at 2. I'm a big believer in him. I think he can really be something next year. And I think he's a better natural passer than Josh Allen, who is my third quarterback. And Josh Allen's still a great quarterback. Like there's nothing wrong with him as a quarterback. I like Josh Allen a lot. Not a great golfer though, if you watch the match. Anyways, Aaron Rodgers at number 4, and then Joe Burrow at number 5. I think Joe Burrow's, like in the Super Bowl, like he took too many sacks, but I think he's just going to be continue to learn, and I think he can eventually be one of the top guys, in that discussion with Mahomes, Herbert, and Allen. The number 6, I've got Tom Brady. Number 7, I've got Dak Prescott. Number 8, I've got Lamar Jackson. Number 9, I've got Deshaun Watson. We lost Michael officially. Number 10, we've got Matthew Stafford. Number 11, I got Derek Carr. Number 12, I'm kind of a homer. I'm going with Matt Ryan on this one. And then number 13, Russell Wilson. With Russell Wilson, I don't think people talk about this enough. His last 2 years have not been great, but I think in Denver, he can play good football again. So having Russell Wilson at 13 makes a lot of sense to me. But anyhow, so number 14, I've got Ryan Tannehill. And then to round my list out, at number 15, I've got Kirk Cousins.
Destin, shut up. Get in the corner. Get in the corner. Okay, hold on.
The one that you're going to talk about is
I
not.
get too loud. I get too loud sometimes, so let me bring it down real quick. Okay, I'm trying to get better at this, guys.
So Zach, you did do a trigger warning for Michael. You need to throw in when you're going to overrank Cowboys players, because Michael has a soft spot where he gets over irritated.
Oh no, there's like 5 problems that I have with that list. But again, I'm trying to get better.
We're all gonna give ours.
I'm trying to get better at not getting loud. You know what I mean? So you know what? Forget about what I was just gonna say, Zach.
So just real quick,
solid list.
The only questions that I have, you said Prescott was at 7 or 8, which was that?
7. Yeah, 7.
Oh, he said 7.
So that was high. I respect it. This is yours. The biggest problem that I had with any of it.
I already know.
You said Ryan Tannehill at 14.
Yep. Yeah.
So, where did I didn't hear you say Derek Carr.
Derek Carr was at number 11.
Okay.
I had Matt Ryan.
And the other one, you didn't say my 5'10" quarterback in Arizona, Kyler Murray.
Yeah, I think he.
I'm not saying he's great. But Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah, I think Ryan Tannehill, like people sleep on Ryan Tannehill a little bit. Like 2 years ago, I know his offense has completely changed, right? With AJ Brown's departure, but 2 years ago, and this also could be due to Arthur Smith being such a great play caller as well. But Ryan Tannehill was a top 10 quarterback just 2 years ago. Who's to say that statistically, right?
Yeah.
And talent-wise, I think I would say he's pretty up there with like Kirk Cousins, right? Like pretty even for the most part. But yeah, I think with Ryan Tannehill, like I could see him. Now it's not like one of those things where AJ Brown, like if he had AJ Brown, I could see him I could maybe even put Ryan Tannehill higher, but I didn't. So
I'm gonna nickname Ryan Tannehill Melatonin because I'm gonna keep sleeping on Ryan Tannehill.
Okay.
But hey, it's your rankings. Your rankings completely. I respect the Matt Ryan love at 12.
I hope Ryan Tannehill is like way worse than the 14th quarterback, because if he's way worse than the 14th quarterback, the Colts are going to win a lot of football games. So
Zach
Hey.
just pissed off almost every Colts fan listening to this. Goodness gracious.
Hey, it's his rankings. It's his rankings, and I appreciate the boldness. I do. My list is going to look a little different. I'm just going to run through them a little bit, and we can talk about them after, and I'll let Michael run through his. So, the top 5, I have the same names, different order than Zach's. I have Mahomes at 1. I have Josh Allen at 2. What Josh Allen did in the playoffs was just historic. Dude had an unreal playoff experience, and he didn't end up going all the way. A coin flip hurt him, but he's at 2 for me. I think he's unreal. I think he's closer to being 1 than he is to being 3 for me. 3, I have Aaron Rodgers, back-to-back MVPs. I have him above these next 2 younger guys because of that. Until he does the fall off, I can't drop him down my list. At 4, I have Joe Burrow. I give Joe Burrow the notch over Herbert. I think both are talented on-field players. I think Herbert probably has more talent, but I think Burrow, the leader, and Burrow, just the mentals, is unreal, just top tier level in the NFL. He turned around a team in Cincinnati that historically have a loser mentality, and now Cincinnati has an entire swagger. They just adopted his entire personality, and for that reason, he's at 4. I have Herbert at 5. At 6, I have Deshaun Watson. I have an asterisk. We never know if he's going to be on the field again. When he's on the field, he's very talented. He obviously has some things going on off the field that are just you just don't hear about it a lot in the NFL circles, but that has to be taken care of. When he's on the field, he's the 6th best quarterback for me. At 7, I have Lamar Jackson. At 8, I have Russell Wilson. At 9, I have Matthew Stafford. At 10, I have Tom Brady. At 11, I have Kyler Murray. At 12, I have Derek Carr. At 13, I have Dak Prescott. At 14, I have Matt Ryan. And at 15, I have Kirk Cousins.
Okay, so we agree on Kirk Cousins. That's what I took away from that.
And Mahomes and Cousins. We agree at 1 and we agree at 15. Who cares about 2 through 14, right?
Yeah, exactly. Kirk Cousins is like the most average quarterback in the NFL, like 9-8 guaranteed.
Oh, I agree.
Michael, what's your list looking like?
I'm still recovering from Zach's. I'm still recovering from Zach's because that was something. So let me go ahead and just give mine. This man had okay. Number 1 for me, I'm going Josh Allen. Number 1 for me. I think what he's been doing lately is greater than what Patrick Mahomes has been doing. The past 2 years, Josh Allen has transformed this franchise. Patrick Mahomes has as well, and he's transformed Kansas City as well. But what I see more greatness when I watch Josh Allen. Josh Allen has solid weapons. Patrick Mahomes had the privilege of having the best weapon in the NFL in Tyreek Hill. Now he doesn't have that. So now and he still has a great receiving core. Juju, Marquez Valdez-Scantling. They drafted Sky Moore. They still got Kelsey. He's still going to be in good hands. But I want to see a Mahomes without the best gadget in football. We'll see how that gadget does for Tua. Don't know what that's going to look like, but he is not on this list, just so you know. I just love me some Josh Allen, man. I love him. And I love Patrick Mahomes for sticking it out, being a Mavericks fan, a fellow Mavericks fan. But usually that'd be enough for me to put him number 1. I just see more in Josh Allen. I'm sorry. I just do. He outplayed Patrick Mahomes in that playoff game. I
really don't hate it. I think he's closer to being 1 to me than he is to 3. It's just Mahomes has so many consecutive years of greatness to me that it's hard for me not to have him at 1. But I think Josh Allen's a stud.
Definitely. And I wouldn't even agree with your point or argue with your, I wouldn't even argue with your point either. But at number 2, Patrick Mahomes is my number 2nd rated quarterback. Number 3, I still got to give love to Aaron Rodgers, man. He's still balling out. He's still making Green Bay relevant. If it wasn't for him, they'd probably be drafting top 10. last year or this upcoming year. So got to give love to Aaron Rodgers. Number 4, I'll go Justin Herbert. That dude's special. That dude's special. He was one of my favorite quarterbacks to watch last year. Obviously higher than Carson Wentz, but I absolutely loved everything that I saw. The strides he made from 1 to 2, years 1 to 2, amazing. Number 5, I'm going to go Joe Burrow. Obviously, we know what he did. Clearly, he has great weapons, but sometimes that's just not enough. The ball placement that he put in these guys' hands was incredible. The throws he made in the Super Bowl were incredible when he had pass rush just in his face all game long. He makes checks at the line of scrimmage like he's a 15-year vet, and his accuracy is one of the best, if not the best in the NFL. It's superb. At number 6, I'm going to go Lamar Jackson. He took a step in 2022 or 2021 as a passer. Usually I'd have him a little bit lower, but because he made those strides as a passer, I got to put him there. Obviously, we know what Baltimore became when Jackson unfortunately got injured. They missed the playoffs. But with Lamar in Baltimore, they are a contender for reasons. And he does it all. Runner, thrower, whatever the case may be. Number 7, I'm going to go Matthew Stafford. Got to give him love after winning the Super Bowl, made throw after throw. The throws he made in that Tampa Bay game was amazing. The clutch throw he made to Cup to win it was amazing. He made great plays in the Super Bowl. And he's been doing this. He just needed to get to an organization that knew how to build a team to show it off, is basically what I'm trying to get to. Number 8, I'm going to go freaking Zach. I'm going to go Russell Wilson because he is still a great quarterback. A couple bad seasons with a bad team around you, I'm not going to hold that to you. He played a little bit hero ball, which resulted in interceptions, bad throws because he had to. We've been watching Russell Wilson long enough to know that's not who he is. But because DK Metcalf isn't the shit that people try to make him out to be, that he tries to make himself out to be, he was playing with nothing, really. Tyler Lockett was really his. Hold on, let me finish.
There's no need. There's no need to drag
I have
DK
the floor right now, Mr. Destin and Quivius Adams. Okay. I give Destin a different middle name every single time I say his full name. So
they're never accurate either.
I don't even know. Honestly, what is your middle name if you want to put it in here, obviously?
My middle name is Alan, Alan. And why I have the floor, I just don't see why it was. DK doesn't talk much. DK is not even really on social media much anymore. What was the point of dragging DK right now? But I will say in Zach's defense with Russell Wilson, I think there definitely is an argument to be made that his play has been poor the last couple of years. Yeah. And we'll find out if that play had to do with how bad the offensive line was and how bad the defense was and how he had no help defensively, where he had to score 30 to be competitive in games. But if he can't make it work in Denver, where he's going to have an offensive line, he's going to have a defense, he's still going to have the weapons because he had DK and Lockett. That's a great two tandem there. We'll see what Wilson can be, but I still had him top 10 just because we like you said, we've seen what Wilson can be.
And not to linger on Russ too long, but yeah, one of my concerns with him is obviously he's aging, and the type of quarterback he is, he likes to run around. And you know, with
he's
him,
a baseball guy. Of course, he's gonna run around.
Of course, but my thing is, like, as he gets older, you know, and his play has declined, it's like, okay, is he a guy, because the Seahawks used to win because of Russ. Now I feel like he might be a quarterback you win with. You know what I mean? Not a guy you win because of, but a guy you win with. I think
I wouldn't go there, but
I think in Denver, I think they're gonna win with him, but I don't know if they'll win because of him, if that makes sense.
So real
in
quick,
his defense, all he has to do is do better than Drew Lock, right?
Right.
Exactly. It's a pretty low bar to.
So,
yeah.
Before I continue my list, Zach, what was your stance in the offseason when Russell Wilson was available via trade? Because what you say, and obviously, unfortunately, we didn't have you on the show, so we can't go back and like get receipts like we can with myself and Destin. Yeah. But were you chugging the train? Were you leading the train to trade for Russell Wilson?
I mean, I was interested, but I don't know. I'm happy that Matt Ryan's our quarterback. I'm very happy that Matt Ryan's our quarterback. So
Whoa, okay, Zach turning it back around on me. Okay,
Hey, I mean, we heard his
He doesn't
rankings.
want-
He had Matt Ryan at 12, and you had Wilson at 13, right?
yeah. So
Yeah, so
with
that
Matt,
tells you what it tells you.
Matt to me is a pocket quarterback, right? And as he'll age, his style of play will continue to be sustainable in my view. So his play style is reliant on his mental ability and his years of experience. I mean, I think Matt over time will be a more sustainable player. Now, if Matt Ryan was available at the same time Russell Wilson was, I definitely would have said Matt Ryan. But when Russ was available, it was a situation where I was like, okay, I think the Colts can win with him, right? We won. As much as I dislike Carson Wentz, we won with that guy. Like we won with Carson Wentz, right? We didn't make the playoffs, but we won with him, right? So with Russ, I feel like he's a guy you can win with, maybe to a bigger extent, maybe to a higher level, but not the level that I think.
Media is our guy Marcus is gonna have these reels up and going when we get to the season because we're gonna run back on all this. So I'm either gonna look dumb, I'm gonna look smart, or I'm just gonna look plain old stupid. So
Marcus
not like I look stupid enough already. But back to the list here because I feel like we got a little bit off track, but rightfully so, right? Now I'm going to number 9. I'll put Kyler Murray right here. I think his play dipped a little bit. Felt like maybe he was a little too reliant on DeAndre Hopkins. You know, we judge quarterbacks, what can you create versus what do people create for you? And I felt like that's what 2021 was about with Kyler. He didn't create for a lot of guys. He needed guys to create for him. So I'm not going to sit here and say he has the greatest coach in Cliff Kingsbury. How he's an NFL head coach is beyond me, but hey, all power to him. The offensive line was still shaky. They were dealing with injuries at the end of the year. So I still think I see enough tools where I think it warrants him being in the top 10. Now, going to number 10, I'm going to have Tom Brady. Got to put the GOAT in the top 10. Obviously, we can't have a top 10 list without the GOAT for all the reasons why. At his age,
not my GOAT.
Right. At his age, still putting the ball where it needs to be. His arm strength does not look like it's lacking. Very weird scenario situation in the offseason. I'm retired. There's rumors that I'm coming back. I'm saying I am retired, and then he comes back. Hey, it's his career. Do with it as you shall. Number 11, I'm going to go with Derek Carr. I love Derek Carr this offseason. Obviously, I would have wanted him. I've been on record that I wanted him, how good he is, how he is a fringe top 10 guy, how he's on that borderline. And I got to back that up by putting him at number 11, right? At number 12, got our guy, Matt Ryan. I just think intelligence for a quarterback means a lot. And that's why I have him above Dak Prescott, because of how intelligent he is at the position. And that's not a knock on Dak Prescott. Matt Ryan's been in the league a lot longer. And Dak Prescott had Jason Garrett and Mike McCarthy as coaches. So not a lot of intelligence in those two guys. But Matt Ryan's had a lot of great coaches, and now he's with another one again in Frank Reich. So he still puts the ball where it needs to be. He has great strength, great mobility, checks at the line of scrimmage. Like I'm repeating myself all the time in season when it comes to checks at the line of scrimmage, like I did with Andrew Luck, Phillip Rivers, Jacoby Brissett, Carson Wentz. I'm going to continue to speak on it because it is almost 50% of the quarterback position at the line of scrimmage. Number 13, like I just said, Dak Prescott. I dropped him a little bit because this year didn't look the greatest. Their schedule was weak. The defense they played sucked. I mean, come on now. The offensive line was solid. The weapons were solid. CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper's all right. Obviously, Michael Gallup was great until that unfortunate injury. You had Cedric Wilson, had Dalton Schultz. I just think some dipped a little bit, as I expected, coming off a very, very horrific ankle injury in 2020. So kind of, I called that a little bit with one of my Cowboy buddies. He was saying Dak Prescott's going to come back and lead him to victory. I said, hold on, Jack, don't you come back. He just had a horrific injury. I don't expect him to pop off in 2021, which he didn't do. So I have him there at 13. At number 14, I got Kirk Cousins. We all love third cousins, right? He's solid. Sorry. Oh, wow. Just hit my laptop. He's solid. And that's probably a sign that we need to move off Kirk Cousins. Number 15. Man, I wanted to put my guy Jimmy Garoppolo here, but off talent-wise, I wanted to put Trevor Lawrence here. And there was probably a couple quarterbacks that maybe I could have, maybe I couldn't. Do I put Tua? Do I put Carson? Do I put Mac Jones? Who do I put right here? Damn sure ain't putting Jalen Hurts, ain't putting Daniel Jones, ain't putting all these other below average quarterbacks there. But I felt the need to put Trevor Lawrence because I still think talent-wise, he is very, very good.
I can respect the thought process on it. He definitely wasn't a top 15 quarterback last year, but hey, maybe he makes that jump this year. I think he has the talent too, for sure. So we'll see what happens, but we can move off quarterbacks.
There you go. And if you have any other opinions about the quarterback, make sure you comment, like, subscribe, and get in the comment section and tell us about what do you think about each of our rankings. Get on Zach. I encourage y'all to get on Zach because let's move on here. Let's move on to pass rushers, our favorite position, right? Pass rushers. Zach, hopefully there's no...
Do we want to let him go first?
I'm going to. He's the guest. We're going to let him go first, man. Look, if you're on something, let me know right now. Are you on something before you go?
No, I am not on anything.
Okay, you're not drinking a gallon of water or anything to flush something out of your system? All right, go ahead.
No.
I got you, man. Go ahead.
All right. So without further ado, this is my top 15. Number 1, we got Myles Garrett. Number 2, I've got TJ Watt. I was actually debating on putting him at number 1. It's pretty close in my opinion. Number 3, I've got Nick Bosa. At number 4, I've got Von Miller. At number 5, I put this guy way too high. I know it right now, but Chandler Jones, I've got him at number 5. And 6, I've got Max Crosby. 7, I've got Joey Bosa. 8, I've got Shaq Barrett. Number 9, I've got Trey Hendrickson. Number 10, I've got Hassan Reddick. Number 11, I've got Micah Parsons. Number 12, I've got Khalil Mack. 13, I've got Yannick Ngakoue, our own Colts own edge rusher. Number 14, I've got Rashawn Gary. And number 15, I've got Harold Landry.
Me personally, I would probably have Harold Landry a little bit higher, honestly. If
I was
I'm
thinking
being
about
straight
it.
up.
I was thinking about it, honestly. Like he's really pretty good.
So I mean, the big thing with edge rushers though is that group from like 8 to like 24 is like so freaking close. Like there's gonna be a lot of those guys that you're in that I don't include, but they were all guys I was thinking about.
Yeah, I agree.
I'll go ahead and run through mine. 1 and 2 is really, really close. I ended up going TJ Watt at 1, Myles Garrett at 2, but you find me on a different day and it might be different. They're both ridiculous. I'm 3. I'm a little higher on than you. I have Joey Bosa at 3. I have Nick Bosa at 4, so back-to-back Bosas. And at 5, I have Chase Young, so back-to-back Ohio State Buckeyes. At 6, I have Brian Burns. Really like Brian Burns. 7, I have Micah Parsons. 8, I have Max Crosby. 9, I have Khalil Mack. 10, I have Zadarius Smith. At 11, I have Chandler Jones. At 12, I have Shaq Barrett. At 13, I have Danielle Hunter. At 14, I have Cameron Jordan. And at 15, I have Trey Hendrickson. And like I said, that when I got to 8, there was a good 15 guys that I probably considered. It's tough. We're in a deep edge rusher realm right now. And I could see a lot of those guys moving down my list as the year goes on, but that's what I got it right now.
All right, solid list. And I do want to say you did mention Daniil Hunter. I do not have him on my list because just for me personally, I want to see what you've done for me lately. And he did not play this past season. So for me, that just eliminates him from the conversation until we see, a month of play from him this season. And now, for me personally, he can enter into that conversation again. But my rankings are number 1, TJ Watt. Number 2, I'm going Joey Bosa. I'm going to go Joey Bosa at number 2 because I think without
Did Myles Garrett swing a helmet at you or something? Like what's wrong?
I sure hope he didn't. But
He's probably thinking about it.
For one, he went to Texas A&M, so you're already down on my list. But for Joey, I just think stopping the run just a little bit more sexier for me personally. Pass rushers, oh man, I'm gonna give some love to Joey because I think in overall, I would take Joey over Myles. Now again, you could flip these guys 2, 3, however the case you may see it. Putting Joey at 1 might be going a little too much, but I really love me some Joey Bosa, man. Number 3, I got Myles Garrett. For all we know, he's got many talents, swinging helmets, putting quarterbacks on the ground, swinging helmets at quarterbacks. We already know what he represents, man. Went to Texas A&M, so really not that fantastic, but he's all right. Number 4, got to give love to my guy, Chase Young. Love him in Washington. Unfortunately, had an ACL tear this last year. Had a really good rookie year. Popped off year 2. He was on a good trajectory, but unfortunately, the injury halted things. Number 5, Nick Bosa. This guy, got love for him, man. Not as big as Joey, but a little bit faster. Joey relies, strength and speed. Nick relies on technique and speed. I mean, this dude is good. I got him at number 5. Number 6 is going to be Max Crosby. The year that he just had, man, the growth has just been coming year after year. Got to give him love. Number 7, I'm going to go Brian Burns. A lot of people probably don't even know who he is. He plays in Carolina. If they were any good, people will probably know more about him. But anytime you hear about Carolina, Sam Darnold's name is not too far behind it, unfortunately. But Brian Burns is very good, and he warrants being on this list at number 7. Number 8, I got to put Micah Parsons there. What he did in his rookie year was special. It was special. Early on in his draft process, he was just so elite at the line of scrimmage, stopping the run, rushing the passer. Dallas did a smart thing. Dan Quinn did a smart thing, putting him as a stand-up linebacker, rushing the quarterback, because why the hell are you dropping an athlete like that in coverage? Why the hell would you do that when he can go get you 11.5 sacks in his rookie year? So
took him too long to let him rush the
right,
passer.
Took him way too long. So got to put him there at number 9. I got Khalil Mack. He's still Khalil Mack. Falling off just a little bit as he gets older, but there's still something there that warrants him being number 9 on this list. Going to LA, going to the Chargers, teaming up with Joey Bosa, who I have at number 2. Maybe that helps him a little bit more because of Chicago. We know there wasn't too much, but now they got Flus and Al-Qadim Muhammad. So now that whole franchise is taking another huge step forward. Yeah, right. So at number 10, got to go with Harold Landry. He was, I talked with Destin. If he was somehow hit the open market this past free agency, I would have given him a blank check. I love this guy so much. Even though he's a Tennessee Titan, I love him. I really love him. The jump that he made was solid. Destin, you and I had this conversation earlier in the year that they were doing a lot of things with him, but finally, kind of like what we just said about Micah, they finally said, just go get the passer. Go get the quarterback. And they finally did that. And look at him. Got 12.5 sacks, went off in the playoff game against Cincinnati, and got a huge contract. I love him personally. I personally wish he was on the Colts. Fortunately, that is not the case. Matt Pryor will shut him down this season, though. So got love for you, Harold, but Matt Pryor will get you straight.
Right.
Okay. But anyways, at number 11, I got Shaq Barrett. Solid guy. Actually spoke with him. I had a chance to sit down with him and talk some Mavericks on a show one time. Stand-up guy, great. Very intellectual, very, very intelligent. At number 12, I'm going to go with Trey Hendrickson. Obviously, if you were following us last year, you heard us talk about Trey Hendrickson. Was that last year in New Orleans, was it a one-year wonder? Obviously, it wasn't. Got to the Super Bowl, was a big part of that on that defensive line. Number 13, I'm going to go to Darius Smith. I liked what he's done alongside his brother in Green Bay. Obviously, he's not there anymore, but Darius Smith does a lot of things well. Number 14, I'm going to go with our guy, Yannick Ngakoue. I just think he has one of the better pass rushing rates in the last 3-4 years or so. He's good. He plays in a great scheme at a great position. I got to go with him at 14, obviously. And number 15, this was hard. Number 15 was hard. So the two guys I was choosing between was Hassan Reddick and Randy Gregory, because he really came back in Dallas, Randy Gregory, and really revitalized himself. Obviously, there was a huge mess with his contract between him and Dallas. Ended up going to Denver. And we'll see what that combination of Randy Gregory and Bradley Chubb is going to be like in Denver. But I ended up going with Hassan Reddick because I've just seen a lot more consistency. There hasn't been all these issues with marijuana, PEDs, no suspensions. For that, I got to go with Hassan at number 15. So before we close this show out, guys, do y'all have anything to say about that list?
I mean, Myles Garrett not being top 2 seems criminal. I like Joey Bosa too. Myles Garrett and TJ Watt, I think, are just tier 1 by themselves.
Yeah.
So that's the big thing. Like I said, I thought you guys were going to include somebody that I didn't, because I thought really hard about including Matthew Judon. Ended up not including him. I feel like in New England, it's really him and not much else going on. So I'm nervous that presence is going to take him off that top 15 realm. So that's why I left him off, but I thought you guys would. Because I think a lot of people would put him as a consensus top 15 guy. I just couldn't do it myself.
Honestly, like the way the edge rushers are in the NFL, you alluded to it, Destin, like 8 through 18 are pretty, there's no consensus, right? But I think what you'll find is like in that top 5 or 6, you're gonna have a lot of consensus. So it was nice to see that everyone's list was pretty similar for the most part.
Yeah. I wanted to think outside the box, though. Don't get me wrong. Again, I said, Zach, you had Harold Landry a little too low for my liking. So obviously I backed that up by putting him at
Harold Landry wasn't in mine at all. So I probably deserve it a little bit. But like I said, it's so close. I went with the guys I preferred a little bit, but it's a tough list. I'm shocked Al-Qadim Muhammad didn't slide in for anybody.
Oh, goodness gracious. That's how you know it's time to end the show. But before we close it out, guys, doesn't it feel good to talk about top edge rushers and have a guy on the Colts to talk about?
At least in the conversation.
Nice?
At least in the conversation.
At least in the conversation. Doesn't that feel nice? History for the last 10 years, we finally have someone we can talk about on the edge and feel proud of, not fake proud. You know what I mean? Other than that, guys, I think that does it for this show. It went on a little bit longer, maybe for our liking. I don't know. I truly appreciate for you guys that actually stuck it out and watched through this entire show. For that, guys, make sure you leave a like on this video on YouTube. You subscribe. We're on the road to 1K right now. I think we're at like 615 right now. So, guys, we would really appreciate it if we could get that love, support, and get us to 1,000 subscribers. And then we'll, start the next to 2K. You know what I mean? But other than that, guys, it's the off season, training camps itching a little bit closer, getting a little bit closer. And I can't wait to see the guys get the pads on. Obviously, preseason, I just want to go through that quick, because there's a lot of crazy takes in preseason. Obviously, we had to entertain ourselves with Jacob Eason versus Sam Ehlinger last year. But what's it going to be this year? Isaiah Rodgers versus Brandon Fashion, Sam Ehlinger versus Nick Foles. What's it going to be this time? But other than that, guys, any closing remarks from you guys?
One guy that we kind of glossed over on our edge rushers is Max Crosby. Like, I know I've talked about it before, but with Yannick Ngakoue in Indy, don't be surprised if we're talking about Kwity Paye in this list next year. I'm serious. I think he is potentially going to be a top 15 pass rusher if his development goes the right way.
Don't tempt me with a good time now, Zach.
I like it. All right, Zach, we will definitely look forward to having you on again, man. Again,
yeah, thanks for having me on.
If you guys aren't already, Zach's link to his Twitter account is in the description on YouTube. Go on YouTube and find that. And if you do find it, hopefully you should give him a follow on Twitter. He is the lead writer of the Blue Stable, newly named lead writer. It was actually a privilege to name him the lead writer. He's done a great job for us, and I thought he was very deserving of it.
So real quick, Zach, tease your what's the next article we should expect from Zach?
So the next article you guys should be expecting. So as mini camps are going on right now, we're going to recap those and keep an eye on some takes on the AFC South, though. I'm going to have some takes on the AFC South. We'll see, though. We'll see.
I don't want to see the takes on the NFC East after you had Dak Prescott at number 7. Other than that, guys, and like he said, if y'all want to go check out the Blue Stable and check out the articles that we have pumping by great writers that we have at the Blue Stable, check that out again. He is Zach Shankerman. He is Destin Adams. I am Michael Pevia. Make sure you are tuned in again next week for the next episode of the Blue Stable podcast. We'll see you later.